This is Harvard on the Map, presented by the Harvard Graduate School of Design, covering innovative ideas and thought leaders in digital cartography, Earth observation, and all things geospatial, with your host, Jennifer Horowitz.
Hello, and welcome to Harvard on the Map. I'm here with Mamata Akella, who is a cartographic system designer at Felt. I'm so excited to hear about your work there and your incredible professional trajectory at Stamen, at for the National Park Service. I have so many questions, but I won't keep you here all day. So to start, how did you find yourself at Felt? Just take us through that professional journey.
So I've been at Felt since the beginning of August, and Felt is a startup, and we're working on a new way to make maps on the internet, new and different, I'd say, new, old and different, but kind of bringing it all as one experience on the web for people to make web maps, which is cool. And I've been a professional cartographer for almost, 14 years now. So, did my undergrad and master's in geography. During my undergrad, found that I could definitely sit there and design maps for hours and hours, and every detail and every choice that goes into making a map was something that I just loved so much. And so I was fortunate enough to have really great professors and mentors to kind of guide me through this interest that they saw was developing in me too. And so that's how I got started with maps. And then I did my graduate studies at Penn State, and after that, started right away after grad school at Esri in 2008, working on their first generation of online base maps. So I've been doing web cartography all this time too. And then,
It's an amazing journey. You mentioned web cartography. You were the creator of the first web map for the National Park Service. Am I getting that right?
Yeah. So I
worked. What's that like?
I worked. It was actually really amazing. I worked on when I first joined the Park Service, there was just two of us, Nate, Irwin, and I, and he had this grand idea of how do we empower everybody in the Park Service, whether with or without technical knowledge, to be able to tell stories about their parks with maps. So it was very different than the traditional GIS that was happening throughout the National Park Service. It was more about kind of like when you open a park brochure, or when you go to a park and you see all of the different interpretive signs and how the park is actually an experience, bringing that to the web maps. And we also wanted to use open source tools to customize and fit within this very strong cartographic and visual tradition that is the National Park Service. It's such a beautiful kind of brand, and it's been worked on for many years by many people. So with that said, it was, challenging given the tools that we were using, especially for multi-scale base map design, and also using the traditional GIS data for really designing that park experience. So we were I was using TileMill, which was Mapbox's very first product, to do it, and got very fortunate to have worked with Tom Patterson, the National Park Service cartographer, now retired, but to kind of go through the understanding very well what are the things that make a National Park Service map a National Park Service map, and seeing how I could translate that over to the web, even though the tools and the data were a little bit rough. So over time, we got a lot of parks engaged we basically created a version of the OpenStreetMap editor, but specifically for the National Park Service, and had people going in and tagging and adding and tagging data in their parks. And then we could pull that into our base map. So inside of park boundaries, we were showing their data. And then also this base map became the canvas from which we built a tool called NP Map Builder that was available to all Park Service employees to put pins on a map, to add photos to a map, to draw things on a map, and share those on their website and more. So it was really fun and exciting. And as the data and technology got better, the maps got better, obviously, too. So yeah.
Wow, what an interesting project. And does that relate at all to eBird? I know that they do a lot of, mapping of, of environmental, but, wildlife data.
Yeah, so not specifically with eBird, but within the National Park Service, there are those organizations too that are measuring air quality, that are, we made maps about like historic battles that had happened at battlefields, because there's like historians and everything that just have all of this information and help them make it come to life on a map that could be shared with the public. So that was the biggest thing, is that all of our maps were ones that were going to be shared with the public under the National Park Service umbrella. So it was even more so these have to be National Park Service maps. And the efforts are still going on. Jake Coolidge is now the lead cartographer there, and the data has gotten better and better. And so we started something fun, and it was a great project to work on, especially inside of the federal government.
Yeah, that's fascinating. Wow. So I have too many questions for you that I've been percolating all day. So you're sort of my Friday highlight, but I won't keep you here all day. I'll stick to a few. My next one. What makes you particularly excited, especially it feels like an all-star, like an NBA all-star team of cartographers and computer scientists within geospatial. I wonder what makes you particularly excited about building tools for a community, for the cartography community specifically?
Yeah, I think as cartography has traditionally been done with a set of tools for print cartography. As we've seen over the years, there's been a lot of ways to create maps on the web. And I think one of the most important things for me is working on tools that enable people to make maps regardless of whether they know how to write code or whether they know all of these different geospatial data formats and all of how to bring that all together. And also if they aren't if they aren't a trained cartographer,
Sure.
too, maps should really be something that everybody can make, and that it shouldn't be as complex as it has been. And so that, I think, is really what is exciting about the work that I'm currently doing at Felt, and with the team that I'm working with, is that we're reimagining kind of the classic problem of quickly being able to make a map and have it be fun and have your personality, but while also being able to bring in authoritative data, but not having to know how to write a bunch of SQL or how to clean data up or do all of that kind of stuff. And yeah, like all I can, like, when I think of felt, I think of just like really creative, fun map making that I feel like anybody will be able to do and start getting their stories on a map and don't have to have years of training.
Which seems so fair, which is,
Yeah,
yeah, it's like, it feels like this, what we've with the cartography community, but outside of the cartography community has been craving for so long. I sometimes I'm frustrated on a personal level within some of the Esri suite of software where it can take, some, not so much training, but some training to really use it well.
yeah,
And and especially even sharing a document or, sharing, what you're working on with another, with a partner can be so complex
yes,
sometimes, or packaging it up or take, there's all sorts of issues that can occur. So I just
yeah.
feel like it's so needed. Yeah.
And so that, like, I'm glad that you said that too, because yeah, there's been all these like fine tuning of like how many times do I have to click through a dialogue before I
Right.
get to where I need to be? Or now I learned this styling language really, really well, but now there's a whole
Yeah.
new one that I need to learn in order to keep up. And also, yeah, collaborating on a map has like exactly what you're saying. You export whatever, send it over to somebody, they look at it, then they export their version and send it back to you, versus like you and I being able to look at the same map at the same time and
Mm.
work on it together. And that's also something that's really exciting about felt is like we're working on, how people collaborate on maps and making that possible, which is great, both for the map making
Powerful.
process and also for sharing your ideas with others and them being able to put their feedback and it just being really easy and fun.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
fun. Yeah, for sure. And the demos look so fun too. I haven't yet used it, right, because it's not yet released, but all the demos just are so exciting. Yeah, feels like it really
Yeah.
can be.
Yeah. Public beta will be coming soon. So yeah.
I can't wait to use it. Honestly. So my second to last question here. So you were formerly the NASUS president, and it's a really powerful organization within the cartography community. And I wondered if you could talk a bit about your role there and why you think it's valuable for geospatial professionals, particularly those within, younger geospatial professionals, to get involved within NASUS or other organizations like it.
Yeah. So for anybody who hasn't been to a NASUS conference, I highly recommend it, Jennifer.
Okay, we'll do it.
Because NASUS is it's really a community, and you really get that sense when you're there, even if it is your very first time coming to a conference. You're almost like you're starstruck by all of these cartographers that you've seen their work, you've heard of them, whatever. But just being able to walk up to anybody and them being really nice, warm, and welcoming, I think is really what makes NASUS special. And I'm on the presidential track, so I'm past president now, and it's been a 4-year, very exciting term. I had the first virtual conference because your second year of the presidential track, when you're VP elect, is your year to plan the conference. And of course, mine was 2020 in the pandemic, but we had a really successful and great virtual conference that got to open up NASUS to everyone around the world. So we had representation from every continent except Antarctica. So
Wow.
it was really awesome.
Yeah,
And
that's amazing.
NASUS, like in addition to our conference, we also have other initiatives like Atlas of Design and Cartographic Perspectives, which is a peer-reviewed journal and open access to everybody. And NASUS also has a board, so we're an all volunteer organization, and that's one way to get really involved in the community and with NASUS, and to bring new ideas forward. The organization is 41 years old now, and it's been running strong, but that's because of all of the amazing volunteers. And so on our, so there's a lot of different committees that we have that also spearhead different initiatives. And we really have a lot, we really want to foster students up and coming in cartography. We also want to foster professionals. We want to make sure that we're very welcoming and want everybody to feel welcome and to not feel nervous, because obviously, as we all know, well, most of us, for me, many of giving a presentation when you're first starting out, or even if you've been doing it forever and have given many, is very hard. But this is kind of a community where you can feel like you're talking to colleagues. And yeah.
Incredible. I meant to go to the NASUS conference. I think it was online this last year, right? Was it?
Yes, it was hybrid. So we
Hybrid.
did Oklahoma City, but come to Minneapolis.
I will be there. Yes.
Yeah. And the call for participation's out too. So
Amazing. Yes.
Yeah.
I'd love to participate. Well, I'll definitely take you up on that. I'll finally get to my last question, which I asked all of my interviewees, which is to describe a time where you were lost, whether that was in person or metaphorically in your life or career, and how you found your way back again.
Sometimes I feel like especially earlier on in my career, I think I felt, or even in grad school, I felt lost in terms of there not being like a lot of cartographers in my program at Penn State. I was the only one doing cartography, and kind of, how you get when you're in your graduate seminars and everything else is being talked about except what you've been like focusing on when you're reading like about human geography and physical geography and all of these topics, but not so much on cartography and data visualization and that kind of stuff. So I think that there have been definitely times like that where in grad school, I felt like, what am I actually going to be doing with my life, or things like that. And I don't know that I necessarily found the path like in grad school, how to kind of reckon with that and get around it and know that it's okay, everything's going to be fine and you'll find your job that you want. But I think it was more just going back to what we were talking about at the beginning, and really enjoying the craft of cartography and knowing that the amount that the amount of time and knowledge and all of this stuff that I've been collecting and having over these years, and that how that kind of comes out in my work is always the grounding thing for me. Even if I'm having a hard day at work, if I make a map, I'm like, okay, I feel better now.
Yeah.
Because it is just like kind of that creative process. And so yeah, I guess whatever topic it may be that I'm lost in, or if I'm physically lost, just like getting grounded and just taking a couple minutes to remember where you are, what you're doing, and how to get back to where you want to be.
That was a fantastic answer. Thank you so much. I literally could not, of all of the responses I've gotten, that's probably the one I relate to the most, because I feel like I sit in some of these classes and I have my stuff lined up for next year, but I feel like I really just want to get the skills that I need to like be a really good employee. But I just, sometimes it can get so theoretical, the discussions in grad school, or it can be, and those discussions are wonderful, but I'm so, I want the concrete technical knowledge, whether that's, cartographic or CS or
Yeah.
Really relate to that. And it's
Yeah.
awesome to see where you are in your career and that you made it past that. So I appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. And I know grad school is hard. I mean, I think grad school is hard for not like actually the work. It's like all of these other things.
It's like
Yeah.
a weird limbo, but
Yeah.
thankfully it's almost done. I mean, not that I'm very grateful for my experience, but it's just, I'm just glad that it's last semester and I get to talk to awesome people like you to end this program.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
So, well, yeah, so definitely come to NASUS.
I will.
And I know I was looking, some of the people that you've interviewed, I think like John Nelson and Ross,
Yeah.
they're regulars. And
great.
also we have like a lot of student grants, and there's a student poster competition. Like
I
there's
should definitely apply to
a
that.
lot of student related things. So I know you've probably I saw some of the things that you've been working on, and I think it would all be great fodder for a talk or a poster or anything. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll definitely get involved. I'm really excited to. Well, thank you for your time. And
Yeah.
I will see you at NASUS then. I'll see you in Minneapolis.
Yeah. I'll see you at NASUS. And thanks sorry, my interviewing capabilities aren't great.
Not at all. You're fantastic.
Okay.
Not at all.
Yeah. Okay, Jennifer.
right.
Thank you.
Thanks. Have a great day.
Have a great day.